Our next speaker is Andrea Higgens from the San Mateo County DA's office. Very pleased to have her here. So, Andrea.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to get finished soon as that. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting all of us to be here with you today. I'm a criminal fraud investigator with the San Mateo County District Attorney's Office, which is really just a fancy way of saying I'm a detective who works for the district attorney. And I think it's appropriate that as a police officer and a law enforcement person, I'm kind of coming in and batting cleanup at the end of this wonderful list of speakers. Because in the law enforcement community, unfortunately, we're often in the position of coming along after all the damage has been done with elder financial abuse. And so I'm grateful today to be able to do a little bit of prevention and to talk to folks and hopefully give you some information that will help you from having to talk to somebody like me down the road and explain how things happened and unfolded the way they did. And I'm also going to try not to repeat a lot of what everybody said. I've been going through my notes and kind of crossing out all the good stuff that everybody else has taken all my good material. So I'll try not to be repetitive, but there are some things that I think are worth repeating over and over again because I know I learn better when I hear things more than once. So I'll try to be selective about what I repeat. We've talked a lot about why seniors make good targets for fraudsters, and we've talked a lot about what the scope of the problem is, how devastating financial abuse is for the elder community. We haven't talked much about why senior fraud is so underreported and so understood in our culture. And I want to talk a lot about that. When I work with seniors who have been taken advantage of and they tell me their story, the main reason when I look back on their cases that they took so long to report what was happening to them is they were embarrassed. They were afraid to tell their kids. They were afraid to tell the bank. They were afraid. They're embarrassed. You folks have spent a lifetime controlling your finances, managing your money, being intelligent about when to buy a house or how to get a loan or what to do with your mortgage. And it is hard to admit if you've made a mistake and trusted somebody that you shouldn't. But please, 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 if that has happened to you, if it has happened to somebody that you know and care about, please encourage them to come forward because we can't do anything about these issues if we don't know about them. And even if all we're doing is coming along and stopping the hemorrhage, we might be able to save somebody else down the road who's in your position. So even if it's not happening to you, I would encourage all of you, I think I'm probably preaching to the choir, all of us are with you folks because you're the ones that are here today. But please take this back to your friends and your family members and the folks in your church and your social organizations. It's crucial to us. That's how we win against these folks is by getting together as a community. Seniors are also terrified that if they come forward and admit that they were defrauded, they're going to lose control of their finances. They're going to get conserved, or Adult Protective Services is going to step in and suddenly they're going to lose control of their finances. Please know that that's not necessarily the outcome of coming forward and reporting fraud that's happened to you or to someone you care about. And again, I also find that many seniors who are being taken advantage of at a number of different levels don't report because the person who is defrauding them is someone they care about. It's either a family member or it's a caregiver or it's somebody who has recently become a part of their life, maybe a sweetheart, somebody who is supposedly romantically interested in them but is actually truly just taking advantage of them. And seniors hate to have to report that person as a criminal. They hate to have to think of that person as a criminal. They hate that somebody who cares about them, somebody that they should be able to trust, is actually the person taking advantage of them. Guess what? I hate it too. And I want to make sure that it doesn't happen to folks down the road. So please, please, even if that's happening to you, or more importantly, if somebody you know is having that happen, that is by far the biggest barrier that we have in effectively investigating and prosecuting elder financial abuse cases. We're going to talk a little bit more about common scams, but again, in terms of who's committing fraud, we have a lot of strangers that will come into your lives through the telephone or the computer or the mail. But unfortunately, some of the folks that you have to be the most careful about are the folks that you see every day. They are folks who might be in your church and approach you because you have some common ground. So again, I don't want you looking over your shoulder every day, but I do want you taking extra steps before you place your trust in someone who feels like they have a connection with you or wants to have a connection with you. Be aware of people trying to cultivate a relationship with you simply to become part of your inner circle and take advantage of you, because we see it every day. We've talked a fair amount about door-to-door solicitors today, and I just want to make one more plug for this as a law enforcement person. As the economy has worsened, one of the most scary trends that I've observed in the law enforcement community is that people will come and knock on your door allegedly to sell you magazine subscriptions or whatever else it is that they're trying to sell you. While you're engaged with that person at the front of your home, someone else is breaking into the back of your home. If you invite that person into your home, anybody that comes into your home or contacts you at your home is casing your home. I will tell you that with certainty. They are casing your home. They are trying to figure out when you're home, when your neighbors are home, is there somebody else that lives with you? Do you have a dog? Do you have an alarm system? Do you have things that are worth stealing? Even if you don't think you have things that are worth stealing, you have your bank statements and you have your credit card statements. And that's as good as cash for these folks, because once they have that information, they can open up credit cards in your names. They can wreak havoc with your credit with those things. Criminals will trade those things for other goods. They will trade your personal information from your bank statement for drugs or for other goods and trades in the criminal community. So make no mistake about this. These folks are absolutely trying to get into your home. The other thing that I caution people about is it used to be that if somebody knew you were home, they wouldn't come into your home. And that's changed. We have seen a very disturbing trend where the burglars, we're seeing a disturbing trend where burglars don't care if you're home. If you are home, you're just another barrier to them stealing your stuff. So again, protect yourself. When you go to the door and somebody rings the door and you go to the door, don't open the door. For sure, don't open the door. Unless you know the person that's on the other side, don't open the door. But take it a step further. Bring your phone with you to the door. And if you get a bad feeling, I call it a spider sense. We've evolved the spider sense over thousands and thousands of years, and for good reason. Trust your instincts. If you don't like what you see, if you get a bad feeling from what's at your door, pick up the phone, you should have it in your hand, and dial 911. It's police officers' jobs to come out and deal with people like that, not yours. It's not your job to figure out if that person is out to get you. That's the police officer's job. Do not hesitate to call 911. The worst thing that will happen is some nice officer will come out and figure out that this person was just selling magazine subscriptions and send them on their way. And that's okay, because you've sent a message to your neighbors, you've sent a message to the other folks that might be ready to take advantage of you, that that's not going to be tolerated in your community. So again, take it a step further. Be ready to call the police if you feel anything at all that makes you uncomfortable with somebody at your door. I'm going to talk, again, just a little bit about telemarketers, because we've had some good conversations about that already today. There is nothing that anybody can sell you either at the door or on the phone that you can't buy somewhere else. You do not need what it is that they have to sell you. Do not talk to these people. If it's a telemarketer, hang up. And I understand how difficult that is. My mother and my grandmother brought me up to be a very polite person, and I absolutely do my best. And when I talk to seniors, that is one of the most difficult things I have to tell them, which is, don't be polite anymore. Or better yet, choose who you're polite to, because it's okay to be polite with folks that you can trust. Do not be polite with people who are coming into your life with just the reason of taking advantage of you. I'm going to flip through here real quick and give you a phone number. There is a national do not call registry. Now, this is powerful because, first of all, you will get many fewer calls as a result of this. Secondly, if somebody does call you, you can say, hey, by the way, I'm writing down your number. I'm part of the do not call registry, and it's illegal for you to call me. that will scare them. Even if you don't ever report them, none of these folks wants to come up on the radar of anybody. So here's the number. I'm going to give it to you a couple of times, and I'll give it to you afterwards. If you don't have something to write with, I'll give you a business card with this number on the back of it if you want. The number is 888-382-1222. I'm going to read it again slowly. 888-382-1222. Now call that from the phone that you want to get on the registry. So if it's your home phone, pick up your home phone and call that number. If it's your friend's house and you're over at your friend's house, pick up their home phone if they want to get their phone on the registry. And then just follow the steps. It's an automated system. You just follow the steps to do that. It will make a huge difference. I've done it because we all get those calls. And again, there's just absolutely no reason to do that. The last scam I want to talk to you about, well, actually two more. There's what we call the family scam, and I'm sure you guys have probably heard about this. Somebody will call you on the phone and say, I am from a police agency in Edmonton, Canada, and I have your grandson here who was arrested for something and, needs to post bail and doesn't want to call his wife. This happened to my mom about 2 years ago. So fortunately, I had done some of this preventive education with her, and so she called me up and she said, this man just called from Canada, and he said your cousin Mark is in jail, and he doesn't want to call anybody because he's embarrassed, and on and on and on. And I'm on my way out the door because I need to go get, a mail order, and I need to send. I'm like, whoa, Mom, stop. And I said, have you called Mark? Have you called my cousin, your nephew? Well, no, he's in. Oh, I guess I should call him. But part of the reason these folks have power is because it's such an emotional thing. And here's this person who seems to be a stranger, but they know all this information about you. They know that this person is your relative or your friend, and they know all this information that they shouldn't. There's a process now called data mining. People use the internet and all their other kinds of resources to find this information about you. Even if you don't have a Facebook account, maybe your nephew or niece or your granddaughter does have a Facebook account and they mentioned you, or somehow these folks are going to find out that personal information about you. It is not hard. So be aware that that stuff is not going to happen. So the last scam I want to talk to you about is what I call the free lunch. We talked about it a little bit also. My position with the District Attorney's Office is grant funded through the Department of Insurance to prosecute specifically annuities fraud. Annuities are a type of investment product it's actually an insurance product, but it's very much like an investment in that it pays you a dividend. We can talk more about it. I'm a police officer. I know a lot about fraud and crooks. I know just enough about annuities and investment products to be dangerous and to point you in the right direction. I brought lots of materials from the Department of Insurance because they do know a lot about annuities. So I have a lot of that information, and I'll give you the phone number for the Department of Insurance and their web address at the end of my presentation as well, because they have great resources to help you not get taken advantage by unscrupulous insurance sales folks. The free lunch, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Folks who are investment salespeople, annuity salespeople, they will bring you in, feed you some fantastic rubber chicken, and before the Pepsid even kicks in, they will be asking you for an appointment to come to your home to try to sell you those products. Guaranteed. And it will be a hard sell. It will not be a gentle, gosh, if you want to call me back, here's my business card. It will be, before you walk out this door, I will have your home address and know when I'm going to come see you. This is never a good idea. If you are truly needing an investment product, this is not the way to do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we finish up. I'm going to talk to you now quickly, just move into the prevention phase. I've told you a lot about some of the scams and some of them how to protect yourself. The main thing with investment fraud, like the type of fraud that I prosecute, is have a plan for your money and plan ahead. Sit down with someone you trust, a financial advisor, somebody who is not going to benefit from the finances that you're putting in play. So if it's a family member, it shouldn't be somebody who stands to, benefit if you make a choice one way or the other with your investments. make sure that you write it down and get it notarized. Do a family trust. Do whatever it is that makes the most sense for you. Have a plan. And make sure that that plan is legally defensible so that when someone like me comes along after the fact to prove that you didn't intend to purchase this product or that you were taken advantage of, I can use your plan as evidence in a case like that. So please do. It will also make you less susceptible to people trying to help you figure out how to plan your money because you've already done that. Let's see. Investment and insurance fraud. The best way to protect yourself if you are going to make a purchase, say you want to purchase an annuity or some other type of investment, you want to move your money around, don't go it alone. Make sure that you have someone with you. If you want to go to the free lunch, go to the free lunch. Bring somebody you trust with you so that you don't make a decision about something when you're on your own and you're just getting caught up in what's being said to you. Don't make a snap decision. If it's a good deal today, it's going to be a good deal tomorrow and a good deal next week. It's just like a used car. Don't get in the trap of, well, if I don't buy it today, I'm not going to get the special deal that I'm going to get today, the 20% off, or the bonus that I'm going to get if I purchase this product today. Guess what? They're going to give you the bonus 3 weeks from now if you call them up, because that's how it works. Yes, they want you to buy that day, and they'll do anything they can to get you to buy that day. Don't buy things in a hurry. Take your time. Do your due diligence. With Medicare fraud, one of the things that I was talking about with the second Jane today is there are a lot of supplemental Medicare policies being sold right now. Many of those are unnecessary. If you're looking at a supplemental insurance policy for Medicare, do your due diligence. Contact your provider first. Find out the terms of your insurance. And if you don't feel like you're covered and you want to have more coverage, get somebody involved with it beyond just yourself. Don't go it alone. Don't make a snap decision. Don't allow someone to drop in. Annuities agents are required to give you 24-hour notice before they come to your home to sell you an annuity product or to talk to you about that. Don't let these folks just drop in on you and knock on the door and say, "Hi, I'm Bob. We met at the free lunch. I just thought I'd drop in and see if you wanted to buy a really expensive and complex financial thing." Because that happens. Honestly, as with all the rest of us, these are not stories that we could ever make up. These are the stories that we've heard from people who have actually been taken advantage of in these situations. Annuities also have a 60-day free look, which your annuities agent may not tell you about. So exercise the free look. If you purchase an annuity and you look back and go, "Oh boy, this may not really be the right thing for me," or you talk to a trusted advisor and they say, "You know what, this wasn't the right thing," exercise your 60-day free look. And I also have talked to a lot of folks in the annuities fraud arena. If you have a bank and that bank has a financial arm, so for example, many of the banks in our area have a financial arm. Bank of the West has Bank of the West Investment Services. Wells Fargo has Wells Fargo Investment Services. Most banks have an investment arm because a bank can't sell you an investment product because you have to be licensed a certain way to sell those kinds of products, and banks have a separate arm to do those products. Now, somebody who is a scrupulous salesperson will make it clear to you that they don't work for this bank itself. They work for the investment arm of this bank. Do not afford somebody on the investment side of a financial institution the same trust that you've placed in the bank that you've banked at for the last 50, 60, 70 years. Because the person on this side has their own set of rules that are separate from the person on this side. So meet this person on this side and evaluate them on their own merits, because there may absolutely be things that person has to offer you that makes sense for you. So I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying be cautious and don't just automatically say, well, I know you're with such and such, so that means you're okay, because that happens all the time. All right. Oops, sorry. Don't carry your Social Security card with you. Again, that's just sort of more of a financial safety thing overall. Nobody should ask you for your Social Security card. They might ask you for your number, but they won't ask you for the card. please buy a shredder and use it for your documents that you don't need to save. You don't need 5 years worth of your credit card statements. The bank will give you those if you need them for some reason. Like I said, that stuff is currency for the people that break into your home. They will use it against you down the road. Do not keep that stuff unless you absolutely have to. If you keep it someplace where it's not like sitting on top of your desk next to the computer. So if somebody's only in your house for 5 minutes, make them look for that stuff. Make it hard for them to find it. Now, don't make it hard for you to find it, because then next year at tax time, you're going to call me up and go, hey, where did I put my credit card statements? I need that stuff now. Okay, so make sure you can find it. Write yourself a note. That's what I do. But make sure that you don't keep that stuff lying around unless you have to. And the last thing that I want to say is, I think, one of the most important things, which is take care of each other. Be the nosy neighbor. Be that friend or that person or that aunt or grandma. Be that person. And I think in our culture anymore, we've sort of stepped back and said, well, you know what? If that person needs help, they'll ask for it. And I don't want to intrude, and that's kind of a personal matter, and it's really not my place. Well, it is your place. It has to be your place. The only way we catch these folks is if you make it your place to be that person. So please be that person. If you see something that you feel like isn't right happening with one of your friends, talk to them about it. If one of your friends has a caregiver that all of a sudden when you call says, yeah, Mildred's not feeling good today, again, for the 5th time that you've called, Mildred's not feeling good. She's not going to bingo today. If that starts to happen and your sensors are going off, trust that, okay? Because that's part of a process called grooming and isolation, and that's how scammers take advantage of seniors. They isolate them from people that might ask bad questions, that might say, oh, maybe you shouldn't trust this person that you barely know who's supposedly taking care of you. Be that person. If you notice that somebody is struggling with their family, if you notice that they're not eating or things are not going the right way, trust yourself. Be that neighbor. If it's an emergency, if you feel like somebody's in danger, again, call the police. Don't be afraid to call the police and say, I'm really worried about my neighbor because I think X, Y, and Z. Now, if you're concerned because you think something non-emergency is happening, like a longer-term thing, the Adult and Aging Services has what's called their TIES line, which is basically an informational line where you can call and say, gosh, I really don't know what to do, but my neighbor is having this problem and I'm really worried about him or her. So I have cards over on the table that have Adult Protective Services TIES line number on there. It's an 800 number. You can call it from wherever, and they will point you in the right direction if you have those kinds of questions. My business cards are also over there on the table. If you have questions that I can help you with, I know I've gone through a lot of information very quickly. I'm always happy to help you, and if I can't help you, I promise you I will do my best to find somebody who can help you. Thank you guys again so much for your time. I appreciate it.